Welcome into the KSO show. I am Mason Voth. That is Drew Galloway. I'm not sure that I've been more excited for a KSO show in a while. You can tell I'm excited because it's a Friday and we're recording this before 8:30 in the morning. Number two, the story that goes along with it, I was begging DY to let me hit publish on. So that has happened. So you have already seen it, or if not, you can go see it right now. You can read through it, second screen this sucker, watch us read that. You kind of have the accompanying piece there. It's like back in the day when they had all the cheat code magazines that you could buy at the store when you're playing video games. That's essentially what this is. Your cheat code magazine for the ranking of every K-State quarterback over the last 20 seasons is over at KSO right now. So you can head on over to On3. Most of you probably already members. If you're not, great time to sign up because you get to read that and you get your first week for $1. Now, I would not probably be a savvy businessman to tell you this. Wait till tomorrow maybe to go sign up. That way you can read this piece when it's timely, and then you can also get quarterbacks 20 through 16 next Friday, all for $1. After that, it's less than like $10 a month if you sign up for KSO. And not only does it get you great coverage of K-State, gets you great coverage of all college athletics, and it's certainly a busy time there. We know the transfer portal is a big deal. We know that lawmakers are involved with everything going on in college athletics. And, the Big Ten and SEC are also trying to ruin it for everybody else with Ross Dellinger of Yahoo reaffirming yesterday that there's serious consideration to conference championship games being done away with. Now, we might be a long ways from that actually happening in terms of, maybe not in a year or two, but if that happens, that's a dark and not very fun place for college athletics. It makes them a lot less fun. But what we're going to do today is a lot of fun. So this stems from a post that somebody had made on KSO last week. There was a tweet about, who's the worst quarterback to start a game at your school over the last 10 seasons. And I think most people pretty quickly were able to dial that one in for K-State on who it was. Here's actually a great topic of conversation because I think most settled on that it was Joe Huebner in that time frame. Would Joe Huebner, though, 2015 Joe Huebner, I think I'd rather have him start a game than 2020 or 2021 Will Howard.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. What will be fascinating, though, is next year is you can't just have that baked in. I think 2020 Will Howard would probably be the answer.
Yeah. Well, I think that becomes an easy answer once you phase that out. And I don't know, if that is that the spirit of the question, because there's also an argument to be made that Will Howard is the best quarterback to start a game for K-State over the last 10 seasons too. And that just kind of goes along with the entire Jekyll and Hyde trajectory of Will Howard's career.
I also hate bringing this up because you love this guy so much, but I mean, 2018 Alex Delton maybe
wasn't even a consideration. How dare you, Drew? How dare you do that to Alex Delton?
The better question at K-State, I think, is who the second or third worst quarterback is to start. But the real worst is the guy that we're going to talk about today.
All right. Well, that's the thing, is we're going to have an answer to all of this in the next couple of weeks, because every Friday of the month of May, we will have 5 new quarterbacks to discuss that played a football game and threw a pass for K-State over the last 20 seasons. So going back to 2006, the first year of Ron Prince, that felt like a good, starting point. You obviously have Josh Freeman then. That was the end of Snyder 1.0, and then you'll include obviously 2.0 and Kleiman and everything that goes into that. So, off season, let's have some fun, and let's rank every quarterback to play a game or throw a pass in a game at K-State over the last 20 seasons. There are 23.
By the way,
go ahead.
By the way, we also talk about it kind of gets overplayed. Kind of learning from this exercise that K-State has a lot of quarterback injuries. The fact that only 23 quarterbacks have thrown a pass in
They've
20 seasons is incredible.
they've done a remarkable job of keeping guys that are just like lifelong backups on the roster. Surprisingly, that may start to change with the transfer portal era, but like some of these guys, one that we're going to talk about today, some people are probably going to be stunned that he was in Manhattan for 4 seasons. So we will get on to the list and rank every quarterback of the last 20 seasons at K-State. Fair warning, 23 quarterbacks were included in this. 2 running backs that were used as Wildcat running backs more than a few times. Like it was a regular occurrence for those guys to be back there. Sorry, Courtney Messingham, Deuce Vaughn not included in this list. Now, there's a good chance that the first guy we talk about, this took a pretty significant thing to happen for him to even show up on this list. Maybe we would have included Deuce Vaughn as a joke if we had 24 guys and needed a 25th. But number 25 on this list is Zach Davidson. 2 seasons at K-State that we can confirm because of his bio at kstatesports.com. He appeared in 1 game in his career. It was the 2015 thrashing of KU, which unfortunately is not on YouTube anywhere for us to grade the 1 pass attempt that he logged in his career. It was an incompletion, but I said that it took a very interesting turn of fate for Zach Davidson to even show up on this list. It's because on the throw that he made that got him in the record books at K-State, offensive pass interference was called. But because I think it was either 3rd or 4th down, KU declined the penalty. So the play stands as it happened. And that's how Zach Davidson got a pass attempt, because if KU accepts the OPI, that throw does not count. And Zach Davidson, we don't even know that he existed. So again, and to some of these guys, no offense to them, like Zach Davidson was a walk-on. It's just, even getting in a game is significant enough, but he only threw 1 pass. It barely counted. And it was maybe against the worst team that any of these guys faced that are going to show up on this list.
Well, you talk about like the circumstances that it took for him to be on this list because there was a penalty on the play. Zach Davidson was like probably the 4th string quarterback going into 2015, probably at best, and ended up coming and playing in a game. Like that's the incredible part to me. The other incredible part is, like, we'll get into this, like, with some of these guys that have only thrown a handful of passes, like we have the tapes. We got it all locked and loaded.
Yeah, I wanted to have Zach Davidson's incompletion on here, but nobody has gotten a copy of the 2015 K-State KU game to me.
I genuinely thought about asking a favor and getting some of the coach game tape from 2015 and having them send it to me so we could just have this locked and loaded for Zach Davidson. If anybody knows where Zach Davidson is, I would love to have him on the KSO show.
I hope he's doing well.
And explain the 2015 season to us. And the other thing is, like, I would love to know what he is doing, where he is. Why is he not, like, listed on the roster anywhere in 2016 or 17, or, like, quite literally anywhere on the internet?
Yeah, I was looking for a LinkedIn. I wanted to know, like, he's probably having a successful career somewhere now. But yeah, it did not show up.
We talked about this last night too. You could have put a picture of literally anybody there for Zach Davidson, and I would have said that, yep, that makes sense.
Speaking of pictures of Zach Davidson, we do not have video of Zach Davidson playing at K-State, but we do have one photo that I found on the internet that I did not have to pay for. It's Bill Snyder before the Alamo Bowl kicks off in 2014. That is not Zach Davidson's hand that he's shaking, but he is getting close to shaking Zach Davidson's hand. That's what we got for you. The other one that I found was a picture of Zach Davidson warming up before K-State played Texas in Austin, and I wasn't going to pay for the rights to that picture. So that's the one you get, Bill Snyder. It looks like he's staring at him. Looks like he's got great admiration for him, and that's a true freshman walk-on, getting ready to face UCLA in the Alamo Bowl.
Well, even more incredible is, like, I have seen this picture many times.
And you probably didn't think it was a quarterback that was in the frame.
Yes, and I still had no idea who the hell Zach Davidson was until we did this.
All right, let's move along the list now. Let's get to number 24. And again, if you are scoring at home, number 24 on the list is Nick Ast of Ain't Nobody Stopping Our Ast fame on the game. And Nick Ast appeared in 8 games at K-State, attempted passes in 3 of them against KU, Iowa State, and Bowling Green. The Bowling Green game was 2019, and then KU and Iowa State, those were 2020 games. KU because K-State was up a large margin, and Iowa State because, well, Will Howard got benched in that game for Nick Ast. Nick Ast, I think, threw his first pass in the first half of that game. There is Nick Ast video out there that we have that I will bring into the fold here. I will warn everybody about the Nick Ast video. It is at moments poorly shot from the Bowling Green game. There's also some John Holcomb highlights from that game. This is a highlight video that I found on the KSO YouTube page. So somebody in 2019 that worked for KSO shot this video. I admire what they attempted to do, but it gets a little dicey. So if you get a little queasy this next minute, you're going to be wanting to throw up in your couch because it's a little shaky at times. But here is the Nick Ast video that we've got. That was just a handoff to James Gilbert. Actually, no, that wasn't James. I think that was Tyler Burns, maybe.
Yeah, that's Tyler Burns.
Yeah, so that's Tyler Burns. Here we go. This is going to be the first Nick Ast pass. There it goes. All right, very nice.
Respect to the 20 Bowling Green fans that are still in Bill Snyder Family Stadium, because this game was definitely out of hand when Nick Ast was in.
You only get so many. This is what I'm talking about here. We do get some replays. Number 16 on the 2019 Cats. Do you know who that is, Drew?
Is that Seth Porter, or is that before his time?
That's why I was asking you. I could not remember, and I was gonna save it so I didn't ruin the surprise.
That's a good the little Josh Youngblood sighting too.
Yep. Yeah, that might be Josh Youngblood's first career catch at K-State. But that's the Nick Ast highlights that we got for you. I wanted some from the Iowa State game, but also a game that the full highlights the full game not on YouTube in a way that I could get good video. Some Iowa State fan had posted it in like 480p, which is mightily on brand for Ames, Iowa. Internet has not fully caught up to the modern times there, I guess. So that's what we got to go on with Nick Ast, and I'll find whoever number 16 was.
I'm locked and loaded. That was Seth Porter.
Wow. Okay, that's
freshman Seth Porter.
That's impressive. That is probably a good indicator right there of how a guy is going to be in your program. If a player like Seth Porter, as a true freshman, was even that early in the season, they were like, we're going to give him a chance to go out there in 2019. That pass that he caught for 12 yards, he would not catch another pass for another 3 years at K-State. And then he caught 3 in 2023. Yeah, got the touchdown. A couple of guys on Will Howard's quest to break the all-time record that got their first.
The Seth Porter touchdown was
from Avery. Touchdown. That's true. But that was in the game, I think, that Will broke the record against Baylor. I think that was after maybe. But yes. So there's Nick Ast, another guy that was put in a woefully unfair situation. If you guys think that Will Howard in 2020 was in an unfair spot, Nick Ast, the walk-on from Cimarron, Kansas, just being thrown into the fire as K-State's getting their ass kicked by Iowa State during a global pandemic, that is pretty unfair.
Oh, yeah. K-State barely has enough players to even play in Ames. Like, I remember that being like the big talk going into that game. The game does not go well, really, at all. And then Nick Ast comes in. I can't remember if this was the game in 2020 where Will threw it and it hit the ref, or was that the Texas game?
Boy. The Texas game 2020 was at home. So if you can distinguish
both, like 2020 from like that KU game on was pretty rough, and like
the
fact that Nick Ast had to play made him come out of the basement for me, and we actually had some film on Nick Ass, so that made it a lot easier to judge.
Yeah, career stats for Nick Ass, 10 of 17, 81 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 8 carries for negative 18 yards. That's why I wanted to find good video from the Iowa State game, because he lost 19 yards rushing in that game. He did get one of those yards back. I can't remember if it's the KU or the Iowa
Oh,
State game. So
you also got to tell the people where Nick asked, like, where his career went after
uh,
K-State.
yeah, so I think some people, might look around and think to themselves, what could have become of a guy like this? Well, anybody heard of a guy named Dana Dimmel? We all know that he left K-State. He gets the head job at UTEP. Nick Ass said, hey, former Cat down there coaching the minors, maybe I want to go join him. There was no crossover time for these two guys at K-State, because Dana Dimmel had taken the UTEP job in 2018. But Nick Ass goes down there and starts playing wide receiver for the Miners in 2021. He caught 2 passes, one of which was against Boise State for UTEP. But that is where the Nick Ass career went, and for my knowledge, ended. So shout out to Nick Ass, number 24 on this list. Now it's going to get really fun, Drew, because now we're going to get into guys that had like legitimate hype in one way or the other, or we have like significant to some extent, significant reps to go off of what they did. Also great video to go along with these next 3 guys. So number 23 on the list, I would have to pull up. Do you know where you personally had Jaron Lewis, Drew?
I believe I had him in like the 20s, maybe 21.
Yep, you had Jaron Lewis at 21.
Yeah.
Transparency, folks, I had Jaron Lewis 25. I thought what we saw from him in 2021 when he actually played was some of the stinkiest quarterback play in a long time, that I was like, he's worse than the guy that was 0 for 1 passing. Not as good as Nick Ast. I can't put him any higher than 25. He was my bottom quarterback. I was that unimpressed, because I thought if Will, it's so sad to say, but I thought if Will Howard played that whole game against Oklahoma State in 2021, I thought K-State had a chance to win it. I still think that for some dumb reason. And Jaron Lewis had to play a majority of it instead, and he went 10 of 19, 148 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But as many would recall with Jaron Lewis, almost all of that came on 1 play. So here is the Jaron Lewis highlights from the Oklahoma State game. That's a good throw on the run there to Malik Knowles. Some might remember there was a lengthy weather delay for this game, and also this was the first ever game for the Big 12 on ESPN Plus, like the first conference game. And there's the play right there where it looked like Jaron Lewis was getting taken down, and he flicks the ball out to Deuce Vaughn, and one of the best running backs in K-State history does the rest of the work there. So there you have it.
From what I remember of that play, I thought it was longer, to be honest.
Oh, you thought that like the distance of the
yeah. I thought that this was like a 70-yard play.
Yeah, it's just because Deuce ran it so much. And I'll tell you this, because of where I was sitting for when this play happened, you see it there. He had a better like opportunity to throw the ball out. I thought that it was more of like the ball just kind of squirted out. That was literally the first time that I watched that play, not with my eyeballs. I like in person. I was watching the TV copy of that for the first time last night. I said, "Oh, that's not as funny of a play as I remember." But it is funny to think that was the lone touchdown pass of Jaron Lewis's career. He did throw a pick in that game against Oklahoma State. He also threw his second interception of his career against Baylor that season. I'll pause it right here. This was right after Skylar Thompson got hurt again. So this is the first play after Skylar Thompson has gone down. K-State into Baylor territory with, I think, like 5 minutes left. So, like, still an outside chance that K-State could be in this game and try and win it. And Jaron Lewis comes in, and the very first play that Jaron Lewis gets, you ask yourself, what was the goal here? Landry Weber looks like he had just no idea that the ball was going to be coming to him at that moment. That's not me blaming Landry Weber. That's me saying I don't think Jaron Lewis should have thrown the ball there. I
Well,
also
the
think it got
ball
tipped at the line
it
of scrimmage.
it had to because it was way behind Landry.
Yeah. So that is your lasting legacy of Jaron Lewis on the field. And just a couple of other things to throw in here, and then I'll let Drew pop off his Jaron Lewis takes and why he had him at 21 on this list. Jaron Lewis was the first quarterback recruit for Chris Kleiman at K-State because he was in the 2019 class, was from Columbia, Missouri, originally was committed to North Dakota State or was going to go to North Dakota State. He ends up flipping to K-State because, hey, we need a quarterback. And they got Jaron Lewis, and he stuck around for a handful of years. Made it to that 2022 team. Big 12 champion, Jaron Lewis.
That is factual. I had him at 21 and above some of these other guys because, I mean, Nick Ass also played against Big 12 competition in his time. But
Nick
Jaron
Ass never
Lewis,
threw a pick against Big 12 competition.
I mean, sure, but he was also in when it was well out of hand in his games. Like Jaron Lewis played like not in big moments because that Baylor moment, I guess, was probably the biggest moment he could have had. But like he didn't come in when the game was like totally out of hand and wasn't like totally incompetent. I think he was fine. He was
He threw
not
a pick on the first play. He literally did the one thing that he couldn't do, and you're saying he was competent?
I think that he was he was a guy that was not a backup at the Power 5 level at that point and came in and just did what he did because he wasn't very good. And for me,
It was his third year in the program as a scholarship player.
yeah.
I think you're giving him too much leash here.
Oh, see, the other thing that kind of like has him over some of these other guys is like we had more to see of Jaron Lewis. So like that it makes
fair.
me feel a little bit better to have him like higher than some of these other guys that like Zach Davidson was 0 of 1. So like it's really hard to judge what he was.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. All right. The next guy on this list. This is the first guy that is not a quarterback that is going to show up. Again, to tell you where we had guys, Drew had this player at 23 on his quarterbacks list. I had him at 20. So if it was up to me, we would be talking about him next Friday, not today. But we are because Drew sandbagged him. And after watching his throws, Drew started to reconsider where he might have put him. The next guy on this list is running back Angelo Pease, also a Big 12 champion. So two of the players to show up today, Big 12 champs. Angelo Pease was a running back that he got significant time as a Wildcat running back, significant in terms of, it stuck out in my memory a little bit more than others. He only attempted 2 passes, though. So he was a little different than Daniel Thomas because Daniel Thomas got to chuck it a lot more as a Wildcat running back. Angelo Pease only got 2 pass attempts. And as Drew and I watched both of them yesterday, they're kind of comical. One in the sense that he actually maybe should have gotten a completion on one, and the other that you just question what the hell Bill Snyder and K-State were thinking when they put the ball in his hands. Let's get into the 2 passing highlights that we have of Angelo Pease. Let's start. This is the first pass attempt of Angelo Pease's career. It came against Texas Tech in 2012. 3rd and goal. Real quick, just 3rd and goal, 2-yard line, 10-10 game, just before halftime.
3rd and goal, 10-10. You have Colin Klein on the roster. Angelo Pease is about to throw a pass.
Yes. Colin Klein, who scored 1 million touchdowns this season. Also, keep in mind what you just said there, Drew. Colin Klein under center, and we're saying that Angelo Pease is going to throw this pass. If you don't remember this play, you're going to be kind of stunned at what K-State thought they were trying here. Here is Angelo Pease's attempted pass.
He's also 75 yards behind Colin Klein.
Yeah, and they're gonna do a true handoff here, and boom. We don't get a clear look. I think it was Travis Tannehill that.
No, I think that's Trujillo.
Well, no, Trujillo was blocking. He just came up when the pass was incomplete. I think the pass was intended for Tannehill, but we don't ever get a clean look. But yeah,
That
here you go. This is
Travis Tannehill is a legitimate player that we could get on the pod to talk about this.
yeah, you're probably right. I don't know if he has much memory of Angelo Pease getting killed.
I mean, somebody straight up didn't block and
Well,
got and
let's watch it again, Drew, and you can try and determine who it was that didn't. Although again, 2-yard line, they've got, let's see, how many down linemen are right there? At least they got
6.
6, and then they have another guy floating out to the edge over here. So they got 7 dudes right up near the line of scrimmage, and they're trying to pull this off. I don't know that I'm gonna blame poor blocking here. Oh yeah, it was like a linebacker or safety that came down. Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the play calls of all time. I can only imagine, like, my middle school self was probably melting down that you have Colin Klein at quarterback, and this was the play call.
Yeah, insane decision making here to do this, because this is the thing, like the Daniel Thomas stuff that we'll see later, they would do things where maybe he would start as a running back and throw it, but they would like pitch the ball to him and kind of get him to the outside. Like it would have made a little bit more sense there, I guess, if you're thinking, hey, we're going to get Pease moving out to the right. And then maybe like he's going to, he can run it in if it's there, or he's got an opportunity to throw, something like that. That was not the case here.
It's also a good opportunity for like the jump pass in that situation, but a straight up handoff turned into a halfback pass probably was not going to be the winner.
Yeah. And then for those of you playing at home, try and guess what Bill Snyder did next. After he runs that play on 3rd down, it's 4th and goal at the 2, 10-10, halftime's about to come. Like Tech would have to go 98 yards to score. Does Bill Snyder go for it? No. He trots Anthony Cantelli out for the saddest of sad field goals, and K-State takes a 13-10 lead. Didn't really matter because K-State scored 42 points in the second half and beat the doors off of Texas Tech in the final 30 minutes of action. But there is Angelo Pease, and we have one more video, and this was the one that got Drew rethinking where he had Angelo Pease ranked.
I was fired up when I saw this one.
Drew, what if I told you that in the last, however many years of K-State football, the last 2 New Year's 6 bowl appearances for K-State, that there have only been 5 players to attempt a pass in those games? Do you think you could name every player that has attempted a pass in the Fiesta or Sugar Bowl for K-State? Actually, I think it may only be 4.
So Fiesta Bowl was Klein, Angelo Pease, as we learned.
Yep.
And then Sugar Bowl.
It's actually just 3. So I thought somebody else attempted one, but they did not.
Yeah, and the Sugar Bowl was just Will because Adrian got in but never threw a pass.
Yeah, I like Chris Kleiman. I thought he kind of screwed up by not using Adrian Martinez more in that game for a myriad of reasons. But yes, Angelo Pease only one of 3 Wildcats to attempt a pass in a New Year's 6 game in recent memory. As my daughter, she's a big Angelo Pease fan. She's been watching these 2 highlights on repeat the last 2 days, and she's like, man, this guy was a player. Here we go with Angelo Pease attempting a pass in the Fiesta Bowl.
Again, in the off
38-yard line. Yeah, and this is what they should have done against Tech. He almost got smoked there too. A dot to Chris Harper. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes has thrown that ball in Super Bowl whatever against Tampa, everybody is saying, oh, the receiver should have caught that. Oh, Mahomes is getting screwed. Angelo Pease got screwed. Also, we discussed it. K-State was still very much in the game at this point. They were in Oregon territory, down 5, getting close to halftime. Like
that is the pass that probably needs to be caught. Like, I get that number 12 was right there, but like, I want to live in a universe where Chris Harper makes that catch and then K-State like wins the game.
I was going to say
that feels like a play that changes the game a little bit if Harper comes down with it. Because then remember, it's 15-10 at this point. And what we learned was that this play came in the first half. And then right after this, remember, K-State misses a field goal that would have made it 15-13. Harper comes down with that. Is it more of a game? Does K-State win? I don't know, but it's fun to think about.
Yeah, and the good news is that if if anyone's curious, I've got the perfect play call for K-State if Chris Harper comes down with that ball. And it looks like this, because that would have been 2 1-yard line. Angelo Pease is hot. You ride the hot hand at quarterback, and I think you run something like this. So
I also like that. What impressed me the most was I forgot that Angelo Pease like had a pretty good arm like that. That was a great throw for a running back.
I mean, honestly, he probably didn't get used enough in the Wildcat. Although tough when the 2 years you're at K-State, you got Colin Klein, who was basically the ultimate Wildcat quarterback, both
Yeah,
in capital W Wildcat and formation W Wildcat.
and
So
then and then you're also behind John Hubert, so like it's not like you're on the field a ton to begin with.
yeah. All right. So that is number 22 on the list, Angelo Pease.
This
And
next guy is the guy that I'm most excited to talk about, I think.
I think we've got more highlights of this guy than anybody else, and he only attempted 3 passes. He only attempted 1 more pass than running back Angelo Pease, but boy, was I excited about this guy. We even had a manufactured artificial argument on the game on K-Man in 2019 about who the starting quarterback should be. Should we see more of John Holcomb? Holcomb-mania trying to run loose on everybody in Manhattan. 2 years for John Holcomb at K-State. He carried over from the Bill Snyder regime. 1 of 3, 9 yards against Bowling Green in 2019. And this is one where it felt like there were a lot of dudes that would occasionally get recruited to K-State, like under Bill Snyder, that I would start to go, oh man, this guy, watch out. Like, because John Holcomb looked the part. If John Holcomb was your starting quarterback, you go, holy crap, this guy looks awesome. Unfortunately, never worked out on the field for John Holcomb.
No, looked awesome. Looked great in the uniform, which is another part of this. Like, was super, super fast and physical. So everybody's like, ooh, they might have something because their quarterback is enormous. And then what I remember most from this Bowling Green game where he threw 3 passes.
Look at this picture of John Holcomb. I mean, does that not look like a QB that you want? This is warming up against Mississippi State in 2019.
I mean, he was jacked. But what I remember most from this Bowling Green game wasn't even the completion. It's the throwaway that he had, which I think might be his first pass of his career, where he just flung it like 60 yards sideways.
Wish I had video of that.
I wish that there was video of that somewhere. I saw somebody talk about this John Holcomb throwaway not super long ago. So that it's in the brain of a lot of people. And also, we're gonna talk about this. That Bowling Green team was so bad that John Holcomb and Nick Ast both got in the game.
Yeah, just I mean, look at John Holcomb running through guys right there. This is where I tell you that the hostage highlight footage can maybe scare you a little bit. Boom. That is a completion to Seabass. That's a big my guy.
Those are 2 guys that could bench press the world.
I hope you didn't blink or you missed all the John Holcomb highlights. So let me play him again for everybody that's watching. For those that are listening only, this is just like a 6-yard run for John Holcomb. He doesn't even get the first down, but it looked good. And then here we go, John Holcomb, a little drop back, boom, quick out of the hands.
A little KT Leviston at left tackle in this game too.
Yeah, so there you go. That is all of the in-game highlights that we have of John Holcomb. But Drew, we've got more John Holcomb video for the people to prove why everybody was so excited about him. We start with this video that I didn't even have. I wasn't even thinking of. And Drew was like, do you have this? This contributed to the John Holcomb hype. And this is a dunk outside of the Chester Peters Rec Complex at K-State. I don't know who that guy is, but he was pumped about it.
If you weren't pumped about this video for no reason, did you really live?
This is, and if we're being honest, this is probably what led to us thinking that he was going to be the guy on the game. I'm just going to keep playing it over and over again. So this is a phenomenal dunk for John Holcomb that you just don't expect to happen again. If you show up to the Chester E. Peters Rec Complex,
You're
you're
not
not really anticipating a dunk that's going to violate you as hard as John Holcomb did to whoever that was.
and go as viral as it did. Like, I remember that video got so many retweets and so many like big accounts to repost it. Like, whoever that poor guy is, that's somebody that we need to find.
The guy that
Who
John
got
Holcomb
dunked
dunked on.
on?
Yeah.
'Cause
So go ahead.
that I was gonna say that guy is the whole reason that John Holcomb had a lot of hype, because that guy jumped and got in the way.
Yeah. So you're thinking, oh, he can dunk. We thought that big arm, like he looks great as a quarterback. And then it started to become very clear that John Holcomb was not going to be a quarterback. So there were questions. I was retweeting some of it today. There was a video of Courtney Messingham talking about how they need to get John Holcomb more involved in the offense. And then there were starting to be some rumors. Hey, this guy might be making a little switch to tight end. Let's see how that goes. No in-game footage of it, but I vividly remembered. I was like, that Oklahoma State game, John Holcomb he was going to start playing some tight end. This is video that I shot with John Kurtz before the 2019 game in Stillwater kicked off of tight end John Holcomb in pregame warmups. I mean, what could have been? I mean, Ben Sinnott, who? John Holcomb maybe would have been the best tight end of the Kleiman era. He was not, and he transferred right after this game.
I was about to say, if I remember right, he transferred like immediately after this.
He left the team after this game.
This was the game with a really long delay, and
Yeah.
K-State didn't really show up and didn't really play very well.
And we talk about sad Bill Snyder field goals. Bill was kicking it in a game that he won. This involved the saddest Chris Kleiman field goal of all time that a lot of people were pretty critical of at the time, because it didn't jive with who Chris Kleiman was, because in a lot of ways he was always, we're going to do what we can to win, not play to not get our butts kicked. But that's what he did in this game against Oklahoma State, when he kicked a field goal that didn't matter. And when in reality, if you score a touchdown, like that actually gives you probably weren't winning, but it gave you at least a little bit of hope. Are you good? You want more John Holcomb tight end catches?
I mean, that field goal still doesn't really drive up with who Chris Kleiman is. So
yeah,
it was really just kind of like a weird one-off thing.
Yeah. All right. That is, I believe, all of the QB video that I have from today. So there you go. Quarterbacks 25 through 21 on our ranking of every quarterback of the last 20 seasons. I'll ask you this, Drew. As I look at it now, and we've seen the video of all these guys, we know the backstory. Do we have John Holcomb too high? Or does he need to be there just because of the hype and the lore that he had attached to him?
I think it's just the lore of John Holcomb. If I was going to redo this list, I think I'd have Angelo Pease a little bit higher. But like these are the last five guys. I'll ask you this. So this was the very first post in the KSO thread that goes with the story. The current K-State quarterback room is held up by TSA on the way to Ireland, and one of these five guys has to be who K-State starts at quarterback against Iowa State. Who are you picking?
Wow.
I think there's a correct answer.
I think you go Andy Kotelnicki, Cole Ballard, and a Wildcat running back the entire. I think you go Angelo Pease.
I think that's who I would take too. Like legitimately, I think that is where I would go.
Yeah, I think that's what you end up doing. I mean, this is just, people will laugh, some will, others are going to be just like us. It's Angelo Pease or John Holcomb for me, because I still will not sell my John Holcomb stock.
A lot of people on the thread saying that Pease was the most proven D1 athlete, so why not put him back there and see what happens?
And again, like we showed, I mean, that throw that he had was to Chris Harper in the Fiesta Bowl. Like, that was a legit ball that he threw there. That wasn't just some, oh, here's our running back trying to throw the ball, like some gimmicky thing. Like, he almost got smoked, recovered from it, and put a perfect pass down there. It was just two guys were there. So, and Chris Harper still maybe could have had it. So, I think Angelo Pease is the answer there. Anything else from the lineup of these guys surprise you at all or stick
I
out?
was I was surprised by how low you were on Jaron Lewis. I also just like this is just kind of me talking about just the stats in general with this. We both talked about it. We both thought that Angelo Pease threw more than 2 passes. Like
Yeah,
I vividly remember K-State running the Wildcat a ton in 2011 and 2012. The fact that he only threw 2 passes, wild. The fact that John Holcomb only threw 3 and Angelo Pease threw 2 is also pretty funny.
yeah,
The rest of the list as like a teaser. Oh man, there are some rough names coming up still. Like there are some kind of nasty names that make the top 10 because I was like, there's no way
yeah.
that I could rank this guy in the top 10. But then you like get down to it and you're like, oh, you kind of have to.
Which, to what we've kind of talked about, then props up the guys that are, at the higher end of the top 10 of number one, how most of them were able to play when they were actually out there. And then number two, like we think K State struggled to keep quarterbacks healthy a lot. And there were definitely specific seasons where it was brutal in terms of quarterback health, but there was at least enough longevity or good standing for these guys to be there. Like you go and look the first, well, really the first 4 or 5 guys that are going to be on this list when we get to 5 through 1, really none of them missed a game due to injury during their career. And these are guys that played a significant amount of time as a starting quarterback at K-State. There are some other guys in there as well that the longevity factor. So there's a lot at the bottom that you go, man, this is brutal. But the fact that like what you're talking about, it was really such a pretty clear cut top 10 that we got to
There,
because I'm looking at it right now. The only guy that was a legit starting quarterback for a game for K-State to not make the top 10 was Joe Huebner on this list.
yeah.
Everybody else, well, there's one other in there that, well, 2 of them that are going to be a little weird because they were timeshare quarterbacks, but we'll get into that down the road. But really, it's the top 10. They all were legit starters, and everybody else was just there for the ride and, spot duty.
There is one specific quarterback in the top 10 that I am fired up to talk about.
Okay. All right. Drew's fired up for the top 10. That's not coming for a while, though. Next week, quarterbacks 20 through 16. If you enjoyed this episode, head over to KSO. You can go read the story that goes with it and get a little bit more of the backstory.
There's also already 20 replies in the thread.
Oh,
and that story hasn't even been up for an hour yet. So join the discussion because there's a lot of funny things in that thread right now.
Well, and shout out to another cat. That's a great question. That's a great like thread starter to reply to. So another cat, he gets a tip of the cap from me for that one because it's great. And I think we need more questions like that moving forward with some of these guys. But that is what we have going on. So you can go read the whole story there. There's going to be more coming, obviously, over the rest of the month. And then next month, June, we'll dive into a little Mount Rushmore of each position at K-State. So we'll start with the quarterbacks. We'll rehash them one final time. And this will expand for the entirety of K-State football, not just these 20 seasons. And then we'll move on running back, which will be a fun one to get into because as we've talked, like a lot of good running backs at K-State, some so good, but in a short time span with each other that they might get overlooked. We'll go through all that, but a lot of fun off-season stuff coming.
I have never been more prepared for off-season videos than these last 2.
Yeah, I mean,
these next 2,
this is
locked and loaded.
Such a fun topic that it's like I wish we were doing 20 through 16 right after this, but we're not. We're saving it. Going to show some restraint.
Theoretically, we could.
That's true. Theoretically, we could. Yes, we could actually do that and just have them ready to go. We might discuss that if we got free time next week or something, because man, this is a blast to go through. But there you go. One last look at it. Quarterbacks 25 through 21. Zach Davidson, Nick Ass, Jaron Lewis, Angelo Pease, and John Holcomb II.
Somebody find Zach Davidson. That's your homework for this weekend.
Yep. Yep. That is it's a good thing to look through if somebody's got that saved somewhere for whatever reason. Go to KSO and On3 right now. Get signed up. You can read the story. You can read a lot of other great things, not just, oh, this is kind of fun to talk about content. Now you'll get good recruiting info, information about the team, the portal, everything going on right now. And you get your first week for $1 if you're signing up for the first time and becoming a member. So go do that. You also get all the access to our On3 national coverage and a look around all the other sites going on at On3, because we're about to get a whole lot more and some better looks inside the Big 12 coming your way in the near future. Before we get out of here, we got to tell everybody about the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. August 23rd is getting closer and closer, a little over 3 months away. And if you are still sitting around and you need to get to Ireland, you want to get around Ireland and see a lot of great things, and you need tickets to the game, go to cats2ireland.com, and they are going to hook you up and make sure that you have the best time possible over in the Emerald Isle. I'm looking forward to our time over there. We had a good question yesterday on the YouTube comments about something relating to Ireland and some of the wildlife over there. So keep throwing those out there, because I will try and get answers for you folks about Ireland if you have them while I'm
I
over
think
there.
that I have the answer. Was it
Okay.
the one about like the stripes or something?
Yes. Yes.
They do that so they can identify whose like animal is whose.
Okay.
Like, does this count as my fun fact for the day? Because I do have another one. If
No,
not,
I was gonna say it can if you want it to, but I figured you had another one, so you can bring it. Let me give the backstory on this first. So, shout out to here we go. Shout out to the question that was asked by Victor. He said, when you're in Ireland, if you travel outside Dublin, you'll be able to see some of the herds of lambs. You'll notice that some of them will have a painted blue spot and others will have a red one. If it bites your curiosity, find out why that is. And if you find out, please tell me. Thanks, guys. So you think you have the answer then on that? You think this is just a way to say, hey, this is this guy's lamb and this is that dude's lamb?
yeah, from what I have gathered, because I looked that up as well. It sounds like it's more of like
A humane way to brand them?
yes.
Okay, interesting.
That was a great way to put that, because that's probably not where I was going, but that was probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. Also, I don't want anybody, I know big ag school K-State. I don't want anybody thinking that I'm saying that it's inhumane to brand animals. I know that's how it works. It's how you do it. That was not a referendum on the branding process. So the only time that you should not brand an animal is if it's a human, just, unless they're a willing participant, I guess, and they're that stupid. I went to a Reno County high school around the same time that there was a big branding incident that did happen with humans. Did not happen at my school. Drew, you could look that up. But that was one of those. So much so that it came at a time of turmoil and like high school football in the area, when one team was going downhill, one was ascending. And so we made a mock 30 for 30 in my broadcast class, me and a couple of friends, called Change of Brands, to play off of what had gone on there. And also the fact that, hey, this is the premier football school in the county now. It never saw the light of day, but we talked about it for sure.
Today's Ireland fun fact is about another festival in Ireland. You'll have to get to Ireland pretty early though if you want to go to this one.
Okay.
It's July 28th through August 5th. So why not spend a whole month in Ireland, really?
And some people might be planning to do that. So
some people might. It's the Duro Scarecrow Festival. It has like all kinds of events and activities for a 9-day festival. Like they have the All Ireland Scarecrow Championship. Like they literally make a scarecrow and determine whose looks the best.
I like that.
There's like kids areas where they have bounce houses, live music. There's a food and crafts fair while you're there. They have laser wars, which I imagine is kind of like laser tag, but a different name for it. And it's been going for quite a while. Looking at this website right now, and I just find it very fascinating because typically scarecrows don't get their own festival or really talked about. But
Yeah,
it makes sense because that's going like right into like festive or harvest season in Ireland, so it would make sense. That by the way, there's also categories for this uh scarecrow making. So there's one category that is most topical, one that is most humorous, one that is open slash general, so you can do anything. One that's about sustainability and waste reduction and climate action. One that is like just preschoolers in school entries.
I bet those suck.
One that is youth with adult assistance. So
Okay.
they consider youth under 16, so like under 16-year-olds with adult supervision. And
Okay. Well, I
and
at
then
first I thought I wasn't gonna try and make a joke and crap on that one too, but then you explain it now. Kids, make them yourself. If
well, hey,
if you're like 12 to 15, you should be able to make your own scarecrow.
hey, I'm not finished. There's one that is youth that's just youth making it, so under 16.
Okay. Okay.
So those are the 7 different categories that you can win. And I'm trying to figure out what you win for making a good scarecrow, but that does not seem to be something that they have on here.
Okay. The scarecrow talk got me thinking here. And again, this is the part of the show where everybody can turn it off if you're like, well, I'm here for K. Well, we already gave you the K-State stuff. We're just, branching off of that now, having some fun, giving you a good way to kill some time on your Friday. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of famous scarecrows? Because off the top of my head, I came up with 4 of them instantly that would make it for me. Because I was just thinking, like, who are famous scarecrows in my
The
life?
the only one that I can think of is the one from The Wizard of Oz at the moment.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's fair. I would say that you are not respecting Dr. Jonathan Crane, who is Scarecrow in Batman. So my Mount Rushmore of scarecrows, I've got Scarecrow, aka Jonathan Crane from Batman. I've got Spud from Bob the Builder. Many,
Oh,
yep. Don't forget. I did have the Wizard of Oz one on here. That was my last one that I came up with. And then another one, a movie that my friends and I growing up, we really like to laugh at, even though it's supposed to be like a horror movie. Jeepers Creepers, when he's acting like a scarecrow in the field. So that is my Mount Rushmore of scarecrows: Spud from Bob the Builder, Jonathan Crane, Jeepers Creepers, and the Wizard of Oz scarecrow. So
that's
there
a
you
good
go.
list. That's hard to beat.
I don't know that you're going to find many other scarecrows out there. Is the
You're
thing.
probably not.
Yeah, and it's not easy to find like a list of scarecrows online because most of them are coming from like horror movies where they want to, like, well, this is, all that. You need to have the depth to know Spud from Bob the Builder, and I'm not talking about new age Bob the Builder BS, because I don't know. Also, I'm now wondering if I'm thinking Spud was supposed to be a scarecrow. But okay, he was. But I was wondering, like, maybe he was just a weird looking like potato since he was named Spud. But I think he was out of a bag that potatoes went in, was like his head and everything. So, um, old Bob, not new Bob. I've
Yeah.
seen some of the new Bob stuff. Does not jive the same. But I was very much into Bob the Builder as a kid. One of the years that I got my picture taken with Santa, I was dressed as Bob the Builder because I think my grandma had gotten me like it was like the checkered shirt that Bob would wear and the overalls, and I wore that to go get my picture taken with Santa when I was like 4 years old. So yeah, I was a big Bob guy.
That
Bob, Wendy, Wheelie, Spud,
the
all of
whole
them.
crew.
The whole crew. All right. That'll do it for us today on the KSO show. For Drew Galloway, I'm Mason Voth. Thanks for watching. Again, go to KStateOnline.com and On3 to read the entire story about our ranking of quarterbacks 25 through 21 over the last 20 seasons at K-State. More will be coming next week as well, so we'll get you 20 through 16. Some more names on the list that you will recognize, and not a lot of guys that attempted a ton of passes except for one guy on the list, and then one that is maybe an all-time great at K-State is going to appear next week. So we have that to look forward to. Plenty of regular content throughout the week next week as well. We've got football, basketball stuff to talk about. A recruiting update will come your way next Thursday also. So get to On3, bridge the gap over the weekend with all of our written content until we talk to you again on Monday. For Drew Galloway, I'm Mason Voth. Thanks for watching and listening to the KSO Show.